So at this point, I am going to invite us to come to the floor. So go ahead and lay down on your mats. We are going to get started with a very stress relieving yoga practice today on this very cold Monday morning. All right, so as we come down to our mat, just getting comfortable, whether we're laying flat down, completely extending through the legs, allowing the hips to open. Maybe our arms are down by our sides. Perhaps they're laying on our stomach. If we notice that we're having a hard time just letting go of everything that's going on in our day-to-day lives, and we're distracted in any case, taking our right hand onto our stomach and our left hand on our heart allows us to feel the heart beating. And we have that tactile sense. We can feel the stomach rising as the diaphragm inflates with our inhale. And we can feel the body melting lower as the stomach comes down with our exhale. This is a really nice place to hold the hands. Again, whether or not you're getting distracted, but especially if you need just that extra sense used today, that tactile feel. If we're feeling anything in the lower back that's uncomfortable, go ahead and keep those knees bent, maybe even knees together, feet wide. It's a really nice position for those low backs. I'm going to take traditional Shavasana with legs extended, arms extended by our sides, palms raised towards the ceiling. And now I already mentioned our breathing, our inhale and our exhale. Let's go ahead and practice a two-part breath now. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. And as we take our breathing, noticing the muscles in our face, our neck and our shoulders. Try to intentionally let go. Noticing any tension across the eyebrow or through the jaw, releasing that tension. And as we continue to work this active breath, we notice that with each inhale, our stomach does rise up towards the ceiling. And with each exhale, we do feel as if the belly button is coming lower towards the floor. Allowing the thoughts to calm down, our emotions to settle, feeling that sense of peace wash over us. Now, while we're here, go ahead and reach those arms up long overhead, reaching them along the ground or as close to the floor as we can get them. Creating a really nice long straight line, fingers reaching opposite our toes. Noticing if there's any extra space coming through the lower back. We feel our rib cage expanding. And then as we release our arms down, go ahead and gather those knees into the chest, hugging on to our legs and gently rocking side to side. Feel free to hold beneath the knee or on top of the shins, whichever is more comfortable. In yoga, we encourage the act of listening to the body. There's no preconceived notion of what yoga should look like or feel like. Instead, today on this wonderful Monday, we notice how we feel and how our body is responding to each position as it comes. Now, as we hold our knees to chest, go ahead and roll those ankles, working through the feet, massaging through the toes, the arches, keeping hold of our right knee, lowering that left leg all the way down to the floor, firmly pressing the left leg into the ground, keeping a soft right foot now. We draw that right knee over and out towards our right shoulder. Noticing any sensation coming across the hips. And just take a few deep breaths. In today's class, we're working on poses that encourage the release of stress and tension, a little stress reliever class. We're going to target our hips in particular. Slowly taking our next inhale, drawing the leg in, and exhale, release the leg down. Inhale, working our left knee into chest. When we're ready, we push that right leg firmly into the floor and then draw the left knee open towards that left shoulder. Again, see if we can just relax that left foot, keep it nice and soft. Right and left sides of body, shoulders and hips are both equal and even on the ground as we notice any sensation coming across the hips now as the left knee is angled towards the shoulder. On our next inhale, draw the knee in towards middle, and exhale, release the leg all the way down. Take our time with feet coming flat onto the floor, placing the feet hips width distance apart, knees pointing straight up to the sky, arms are down by our side. Coming into our bridge flow series, we anchor the shoulders, engage the core muscles, and inhale, lift the hips up to the ceiling, pressing down through the shoulders and heels. Exhale, vertebrae by vertebrae, we lower the body down to the floor. Adjust the placement of feet if we need more comfort for the hips and knees. We inhale, lift the hips up, nice and high. Exhale, slowly roll down. It's like a massage for the back as we stretch through the core. Inhale, lift, actively engaging through the glutes to help stretch through the front of the hips. And exhale, we slowly lower. We'll repeat this one last time. Inhale, lifting those hips up. And exhale, slowly rolling down. Very nice. Go ahead and take our time as we work our way over onto our sides, coming up and over, finding our tabletop position. In tabletop, we've got hands directly beneath shoulders, spreading the fingers for lots of support. Knees are underneath our hips, keeping really nice flat back. From here, we'll find spinal balance, extending right arm directly in front of the shoulder, thumb towards the sky, and then lift that left leg up, pressing back through our heel. Lower the leg and the arm down. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Exhale, release. Inhale, right, creating that straight line. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left. Exhale. One more each side. Inhale, right, finding our balance today. Exhale, lower. And inhale, left. Exhale, down. Reestablishing tabletop, adjusting anything we need to as we find cat and cow. We inhale, look forward with our eyes, open the chest into cow. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, round the back, pull the belly button up into cat. Inhale, untuck, open the chest, finding cow. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, pull the belly button in, contracting the abdomen. Inhale, untuck, opening heart center, lifting tall through crown of head. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, round the back, really puff up through the shoulders, drawing chin in. Inhale, open. And last time, exhale, round up nice and high. Very good, and reestablishing table for our shoulder stretch. Thread the needle. We take our right arm, inhale, lift it up nice and high. Exhale, thread all the way underneath that left, laying it into the right ear. Now, depending on range of motion, this may look very different. I'm going to do it again for anyone who needs just a different angle with the right arm high, and then we sweep underneath that left shoulder. Feel free to take the left arm forward as well. Slowly coming into tabletop. So we can repeat it with our left arm now. Big inhale, reaching straight up towards the sky as much as our shoulder allows us. Exhale, threading underneath that right arm. We lay into the shoulder as much as we can possibly do, extending, if we wish, that right arm overhead. And I'll just turn to the side. Notice any stretch you might be feeling through the shoulders. And as we come up in through tabletop, let's ensure that our toes are relaxed. Feet are flat on the floor as we press back into child's pose. An amazing position to stretch through the legs, the hips, the back, and the shoulders. Let's really encourage our head to rest down or towards the floor as we take a couple deep breaths. Preparing for modified flow series, we're going to stay in a modified plank position, working our way through a flow. We inhale forward into kneeling plank. Exhale, hover down into baby crocodile. Inhale, pressing straight up into our modified plank. Exhale, press back into child's pose. We'll repeat this 4-step plank. Inhale, forward. Exhale, hover, back stay straight, elbows brush rib cage. Inhale, press straight up, back stay straight. Exhale, push back into child's pose. Inhale, forward. And as we exhale, we lower only as much as we can control. Doesn't have to be all the way. Inhale, press straight up. Exhale, push back. We'll do this just one more time. Inhale, coming forward into kneeling plank, shoulders on top of fingers. As we exhale, slow lower. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, press back, finding child's pose. Let's take a couple of well-deserved breaths here. Slowly working our way back up through table, we'll come into our first lunge, runner's lunge. Reaching our right foot up between hands, knee steps above ankle, finding our arms coming either straight up to the ceiling or, a favorite of mine, down through heart center. As we hold runner's lunge, just ensuring that we're comfortable on that back knee. So at any point, if you need to double up your mat to add extra support, or just find a more cushiony towel or blanket to put under the knee, that's always a nice option, so that we can really focus on stretching through that back left hip. Now, as we're holding runner's lunge, I just want to encourage everyone to experiment closing our eyes. Notice your breathing. What does the inhale feel like? What does the exhale feel like? Release our arms down. Slowly work that right foot back. Take our time, reaching the left foot forward. We'll repeat the other side. Knee is stacked right on top of ankle. Hips and shoulders are trying to stay level and facing front as we work the arms up above head, or again, the option is to come down through heart center. Whichever we prefer, go ahead and just relax those shoulders, lengthen the space between chin and collars, and engage those abdominal muscles. See if we can close our eyes as we lengthen that right hip, feel tall through crown of head, and acknowledge our breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Slowly release both hands down, coming through tabletop, and press back into child's pose again. Now in yoga, we like to coordinate graceful transitions between poses, making those your own. If one transition that I'm offering isn't working for you today, make sure that you're finding something that's comfortable and fits your body's needs. Now from child's pose, we'll be taking downward facing dog. So we'd like to really press our fingers into the floor, dig the toes, lift the hips up. We want the tailbone to be the tallest point of the body. Belly buttons are drawing in, hips are both level, hands are pressing away, and we're pulling those shoulder blades up our backs. Notice your feet. Go ahead and just pedal through feet, toe to heel, toe to heel. Notice how close your heels can get to the floor. If there's any stretch happening in through the feet or up the backs of the legs, great little massage, encouraging good blood flow and circulation. Now, as we hold down dog, notice what your feet are doing as we press the heels down, as much knee bend as we possibly need. And then go ahead and take ourselves forward into plank, just like we did in our modified flow series a moment ago. Knees can come to the mat or stay lifted in a full plank. Chaturanga, that slow lower all the way down to the ground. Engage the shoulder blades, squeeze them in our backs, and lift up into cobra. Whether it's baby or full cobra. Long neck. Good. And we can press back into a child's pose or down dog, whichever stretch you'd prefer. We're going to hold this for just a couple of breaths. Couple big breaths. Good. Now I'll ask that we look up in between our hands. We're going to step our right foot all the way up. However you need to get the knee above ankle, flat foot on the ground, coming through warrior one. We place the left foot on the ground wholly, heels are glued to the floor as we reach those arms up nice and tall. In this position, we're just going to hold it for several breaths. I'm going to turn around and face the front for anyone who'd like another perspective. Right foot forward, left foot back, both feet glued to the floor. That left toe can turn slightly outward to really encourage the heel to press down fully. Hips and shoulders facing front. Arms can be lifted or down through heart center. Let's encourage that long neck again. Slow down our breathing. Closing our eyes if that's an option. And I encourage us to breathe through the nose, just to keep the muscles through the face and the jaw a little bit more relaxed. Warrior one can be a very peaceful pose if we let it. We're grounded through the feet, we're tall through the crown of our head, we're long through the core, feeling very stable, very confident. From warrior one, we're going to open up to warrior two, taking our arms into a T and rotating to the side. Keeping our right knee reaching forward, still stacked directly above ankle. Arms are out long. Again, I'll do this from the side. So from warrior one, this is what it would look like from the long view of warrior two. Arms stacked directly on top. Feet are running perpendicular to one another. We feel open across the chest, strong through the backside. Couple big breaths. Slowly, I want us to waterfall our hands all the way down over that right foot, sweeping back in through plank or tabletop as we slowly lower our body completely to the floor again in our chaturanga. Scooping up for cobra, baby or full. And we'll press back either through down dog or child's pose. Listen to your body and take the pose that's really going to work for us today. If we're looking for relaxation, likely child's pose is the one we need. If we're looking more for flexibility, strength or stretch, we'll take down dog instead. Just a couple more breaths. Now looking up between our hands, we're going to sweep that left foot all the way through, helping the knee get on top of the ankle. Warrior one, we place that right foot completely down onto the floor. When we're ready, we walk or sweep our arms high, noticing if our legs are too far apart that we're not able to close our hips forward. Feel free to widen our stance or shorten the distance between feet, lifting our arms tall, we're finding heart center. We feel as if we are in fact wearing a crown on our head. We're feeling very proud, confident through the structure of hips and shoulders, grounded through all four corners of our feet. All 10 toes, both inside, outside edges of the heels, pressing firmly into the ground. Continuing to zipper up a little bit taller, a little bit tighter through the core. And we have that deep two-part breath happening. Remaining focused, feeling very empowered. Opening up into warrior two. Wherever the arms are, go ahead and find a T as we rotate to the side. Just as I did, if you are in a shorter warrior one stance, you may have to open your feet a little bit farther from one another. Continue to reach that front left knee over the toes of the left foot, keeping the knee stacked back on top of the ankle so it hasn't fallen in. We want to encourage the opening across the hips. Same with our shoulders as we reach those arms out nice and long. Now we can continue to look forward or look over that left hand. Noticing that heart center is open, core is engaged and zipped up, up, up. And maybe on every exhale, we get just a little bit lower. Maybe. Couple big breaths. Now before we waterfall on this side, we're going to take another stretch first. We'll take our softened knee and bring it a little bit more straight, turning both toes to face the long edge of our mat. Now, if this is too big for us with our stance, heel toe it in just a little bit more as we find ourselves coming into our standing forward fold in straddle split. We start with a big inhale, lift tall. Exhale, hinging at the hips, soft knees, reach forward, reach forward. As soon as we feel a stretch, feel free to relax the hands on the thighs, the shins, maybe the floor in front of us. If we're using a prop like a yoga block, as this position would benefit from a little bit extra length, you could definitely put your hands on that block. And if you're like me and just need a little bit more today, feel free to bring those elbows down. Relax the head if it feels right. Play with the position of the knees, whether we straighten them a little bit more or bend them more significantly. Perhaps you even like to rock right to left in those hips, opening up through the groin area, stretching up the hamstrings. Let's take a couple of breaths here. Very good. And through the middle, we're going to soften the knees as we slowly roll our body up. Head comes up last. Take your time. Take your time. Okay. Now, bring that left foot face the short edge of the mat again. Slow waterfall as we bend the knee all the way low. From that lunge position, we sweep the foot back through plank or tabletop. Chaturanga completely to the mat. From that slow lower, we lift up through cobra and push back with a big exhale, down dog or child's pose. We use the modifications, the different options to enhance our practice, remembering there's no judgment and no competition in yoga. Holding this stretch for just a couple more breaths. Preparing for pigeon. We look up between our hands again. We're going to take that right foot, lift it all the way up towards our left wrist, taking the right knee towards our right hand. So the shin in turn becomes short, like the front of the mat. And then that back left leg, we're just going to allow it to become long, like the long edge of our mat. From here, we can take the hands on the floor. Maybe we bring the elbows on the ground, or we take our head and rest it on top of our hands, making a pillow out of our fists. Staying here, and if anyone needs just a little extra help with that, I'll do it again from the front view. So imagining I'm in down dog or table or child's. We can take that right foot, bring it towards our left hand. The knee is towards our right hand. And then from that position, it's essentially short. And then we work that back leg long. As we continue to hold our pigeon pose, I want you to really enhance the parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest. As we exhale, we get a little bit lower. Whatever that might look like for you today. Feeling the right hip, maybe up through the back or through the leg, releasing a little bit. Taking our time, we're going to rise up into table. Take our time. And whenever we're ready, press back into down dog or child's pose. With all this focus on our hips, we're going to be maybe feeling our heart rate rising a little bit. A lot of big muscles that we're stretching right now. Just go ahead and take a couple of big breaths here, regaining control and composure. Pressing away from those 10 fingers, be active through the shoulders. Preparing to repeat pigeon pose with the left leg. We'll look up between our hands from whatever position we're in now, trying to get the left hand across towards, the left foot across towards the right hand. And that left knee is up close beside the left hand. Pressing our back right leg so that it's as straight as it can be, even going as far as to look over the right shoulder to ensure that the leg hasn't wandered. Good practice to work with our spatial awareness and body awareness. Good to check in with our body. And when we feel like we're having the right amount of stretch or discomfort into our left hip, go ahead and find the position with the upper body, whether we're on hands, elbows, or resting our heads down on the fists. Couple of more breaths here. Again, I'm going to encourage everyone to work on that exhale. Try to make the exhale last a little bit longer than the inhale. Taking our time, we'll lift ourselves up through tabletop, working our way back again into down dog or child's pose. Noticing that regardless of the position that you've chosen, maybe the tailbone is higher, maybe the distance between hand and feet is broader, perhaps the legs are straighter if we're in down dog, or the knees are more bent if we're in child's. Noticing all of these changes, modifying, listening to the body and reacting. Now slowly walking our hands and feet together. We're coming up to stand for one final balance. Taking our time, we can roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. Slowly, slowly. Now establishing Tadasana, working our way in through tree pose. I want us to take feet directly beneath our hips. They can be smaller if we prefer, or wider if we prefer that stance as well. But approximately hips width distance apart is our Tadasana stance mountain pose. Palms are extended, forward facing, with thumbs out to the side. From here, for tree pose, let's extend our right leg out, open through the hips, slight turnout, draw the foot in, whether we can maintain a kickstand position here with our toe on the ground, perhaps lifting the foot so that it's attached to the calf, or we can raise the foot all the way above the knee and anchor it into our inner thigh. Trying to open the knee so that we're really working on keeping our hips open. Noticing if your right hip is significantly raised or if you're able to keep your hips relatively level. Same with our shoulders. Drawing up, taking our hands, whether it's above our head, in through prayer, or preferring heart center. Shoulders down, long neck. Couple big breaths. Get a couple more breaths here. And whether or not we're being successful with our balance today, just not being hard on ourselves. Balance is affected by so many things. Good. Holding onto that tree, taking one final big inhale, drawing the knee in. And exhale, release. Feel free to fidget, especially if you haven't done balance work in a while. We want to encourage that circulation and blood flow. Remind the brain it has to send blood all the way down to those feet and the toes. Taking Tadasana again, roll the shoulders, and let's prepare to repeat tree with the left leg. Extending the leg out to the side, we shift that weight over to the right, open the hip, drawing the foot, kickstand, calf, or inner thigh. Opening the hips out, ensuring that we've just lifted up out of that hip, and we're fairly level with our two hips, staying rather than getting all twisted. Hands can be wherever they want, low hanging branches, high branches, prayer or heart center. Some people like to work on a bit of shoulder strength too, finding a cactus pose, engaging our arms here. So again, find that intention that we were working on with our class today, whatever maybe the mantra was that you were repeating to yourself as we decided to take yoga practice today. Was it, I want to be stronger? I want to work on flexibility. I need to relax. Whatever it might be, make sure that each pose is speaking true to that intention. Taking that last big inhale, let's draw the knee inward. And exhale, release. Good. Working through those toes. Take one more standing forward fold. Rather than the split this time, we're going to do it from a straight mountain position. I'll turn to the mat, and if you'd like to join me, we can step to the top of the mat. From Tadasana, slight bend in the knees. Inhale, reach those hands up nice and tall. Now exhale, swan dive, hinging at the hips, finding ourselves folding over the legs. Now notice the neck, try to relax the head. In fact, we can go so far, just shake the head no, nod the head yes. Now notice where we'd like to take our hands, maybe holding either elbow in ragdoll, perhaps linking our arms around our knees. Some people like to even hold our feet or just place the hands on the floor. Honestly, whatever is feeling right today. Allow those knees to bend as much as they need to really enjoy the sensation of feeling the stretch come up the back of the body, all the way through the posterior chain. Let's take our time here as we bend the knees down, sitting onto our hips, sweeping those legs all the way around. We're going to work our way coming down all the way onto our mat. However you need to get yourself down onto the floor, if you had socks or sweaters on and you want to put those back on, now is a good time to do so. We want to make sure that in our final resting pose, we are comfortable. Now, before we find Shavasana, as we're laying down here, I would like us to take one more stretch. This will be our spinal twist. We can do that with bent knees, or I'll show it from straight legs. Working our arms out to the side, just adjust slightly. We can have our arms in a T position. We'll lift our right knee up, and now allow that leg to fall over to the left. We can put our left hand on top of that right knee as we look over that extended right arm. Here's another stretch that I want to encourage the rest and digest, that long exhale. Allow the right hip to relax. Feel the sensation through the rib cage, the chest and shoulder. Slow down our breathing. Inhale, lifting the knee up, and exhale, lower down. If you're like me, you've wiggled, so let's reposition to find neutral alignment. Taking that left leg, inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower over that right side. Feels so good. We may have even felt a couple cracks or cricks in the release of nitrogen through the back. Right hand can hold on to that left leg wherever it's comfortable. Just noticing again what we're feeling, where we're feeling it. And then focus on our breathing. Stretching across the chest. Relaxing the muscles through the face and the shoulders. Inhale, lifting the knee up, and exhale, slowly lowering down. Now, as we enter our final relaxation, I want to encourage that we're comfortable on the mat. So if you need to move at all, or if you have a pillow or a bolster that you prefer to use, feel free to tuck that under your lower back or support your head. If you have a blanket nearby or a throw that you'd like to put on top, absolutely encourage the use of any props that will bring the relaxation response more efficiently or more effectively. Noticing that sensation of accomplishment, of gratitude, of appreciation washing over us. And as we surrender the body into Shavasana, I want us to release the muscles in the abdomen and the core, allowing that full inhale, force the stomach up high, and on that exhale, releasing residual stress, anger, tension. Taking a 5-part breath, we're going to inhale for the count of 5 and exhale for the same count of 5. Very simple, even breath. Using it to keep our attention as we focus on our counting. Allowing the muscles in the body to relax. The heart rate to slow. And the mind to stop racing, to become more open and receptive. Gently, I'll ask that we start to wiggle our fingers and our toes. And we'll check in with our body, noticing how we're feeling after we've taken just this brief time out of our day to really connect back with ourselves, taking that scan, finding a moment of peace. Feel free to roll the wrists and ankles in little circles. Go so far as to draw the knees up, gathering them into the chest again for a slight hug. Maybe even rocking side to side, noticing if there's any change in how the hips or the lower backs are feeling. At this point, I'll also encourage you to take note of if you'd like to take any extra stretches now, continuing your practice. Otherwise, starting to come all the way up to sitting, joining me in our final seated posture to take our goodbye. Now, as we sit up nice and tall, before we say our final goodbye, I like to end with a neck stretch. Taking that right ear and just tip it over towards the right shoulder. Feel free to extend that left arm out to the side, playing with the position, whether it's farther behind or reaching a little bit higher. Same with the chin. Perhaps we need to adjust the angle to really get a nice stretch running down the left side of our neck. And bringing ourselves upright through the middle, taking that left ear towards shoulder now. Decide if we'd like to play with the position of the right arm in space and the different angles we can take of the neck. Slowly coming back upright. And now for our final goodbye, taking our big inhale, reaching our arms all the way up above head to prayer, down through heart center with our exhale. Namaste. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you feel a little less stressed. And have a wonderful rest of your week. You're very welcome. Thanks for joining. Bye, everybody. Namaste.